Hello, Comfy Dad Shoes here. I'm coming to you from where it is 9 million degrees outside today, and I'm going to give you 5 tips for your DR650. Stay tuned. Tip number 1, this is one that helped me get some extra slack. One of the problems I was having was finding slack on the fuel line, and I actually had to reverse. Let me see if I can get that to focus better, but I had to reverse the orientation where I flipped this upside down, which gave me a few extra, I want to say maybe about 1.5 inches or 2 inches of room. So if you're gonna add a high bar, or like, see, I've got the anti-viberizers and a high bar, so I had to make extra slack. Flipping that helped tons. Tip number 2, so if you didn't notice, this looks terrible. And I got really anxious when I put these on, and I did not realize that the factory grips are bonded to the throttle tube. So I was so anxious to ride that day that I actually just whittled this down to the plastic with a knife to be able to get the new grips on, which looks terrible, and you can tell it looks terrible. But the solution to that, if you are going to change, when I went to these guards and this bar, if you are going to change grips, you're going to want to go ahead and get a new throttle tube and the hand guards, and get a set of these bark busters. I'd recommend them, because then you won't have to cut these holes for the hand guards, because I'm not very good at that. I never was good with scissors or knives or anything like that, but you can see the obvious reasons why it makes sense to do that. But these are going on probably today or tomorrow, but definitely new throttle tube and new hand guards that have this open end for your soon to be changed hand guards, because you're going to want to change those. The factory ones are garbage. Tip number 3, your snail adjusters. So if you look at where they're adjusted, whenever you retorque this onto the wheel, this opposite side, whichever side you got it adjusted on, watch for that to move. I noticed it when I first looked at my tire to tighten my chain. I noticed that it had been off the whole time I had actually had the bike. Pay attention to when you're retorquing this. As you're setting it, do it slowly and carefully. Keep an eye on the opposite snail adjuster, because these do slide. I don't know if that's specific to DRs, but it is something to look out for, and you don't want to have them too far off from one another. You want them obviously to be the exact same, but it's something to avoid. Okay, tip 4 was actually one that came from a viewer. I keep swinging. So if you get these Warp 9 case covers right here, they're attached. I don't know if Warp 9 does it for shipping or what, but it's about a 1 inch long attachment right here. But every time you change your oil filter, that means all of this has to come off, and it's just extra wrenching for you. I cannot remember what they used. They said to cut it, but I'm going to use just an oscillating handsaw. I'm going to put it in like a vise and just make real delicate cuts across here, so that when I do my oil change, I just have to do these 3. And if you want to put some added protection in between these two, or set a gap, you may want to consider that as well. But that'll save you some time, having to not have to get all of these off. But definitely be careful with the cut. But yeah, making this 2 different sections, always good advice. All right, for this 5th topic, this is something that actually happened to me. This brake line, when you make adjustments or when you move or add anything, this is for a Parabellum windscreen, but it was getting pinched right here, and when I would brake, it was actually pushing the line inward, and I'm not sure, I think the catch was happening here, but it was also happening up here, and I made a short about it, but it was pinching it and pushing it into the tire. And I got into the parking lot of the place I was going to, and I squeezed my front brake and felt it pop. And I had just come off of a major highway, so you definitely want to check that and make sure that you don't have any inward play on this line. You shouldn't. You should never have it, but once you start modifying and changing things, obviously you could. So definitely take a look at that, especially if you're going to start modding stuff. And that's it. Well, everybody, my attack dog and I would like to thank you for sticking around to the end. I'd also like to thank everyone for 415 subscribers. Also, I'll be doing some chin mounts videos pretty soon with the new setup, the one you saw in my last video. And keep an eye out for some more comparison videos and viewer requests. They are going to be coming up soon. Thanks, everyone. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Until then, take care.